What's up, everybody, and welcome back to ThreadX Productions and your weekly grind. I am one of your hosts, Nick. Here with me today is...
Hey, everybody, it's Nate.
It's Nick and Nate, Nick and Nate. It's always great with Nick and Nate, Nick and Nate.
I'm Nate.
The classics. So if you're not a fan, then you don't know what that jingle is. But now you do, and you love it. So, weekly grind, we talk about news stories. We talk about what's going on in the world of nerds and stuff. So we have a couple of juicy ones today. Oh, juicy. And we actually have a break apart? We have a break off one where we're going to be talking about trailers. So look out for tomorrow. We're going to talk about some trailers that came out. So look out for that. It's still going to be technically weekly grind, but it's going to be like a bonus grind.
Sure.
Anyways, so first off, since it's kind of relevant to what I've been doing, we're going to talk a little bit of Horizon Zero Dawn. Horizon Zero Dawn's coming out on PC in August with many enhancements. So first off, I'm going through it. I think I'm really close to rolling some of them credits. Don't want to go too spoilery just because it's just now coming out on PC. So maybe there's going to be a whole new wave of people who are going to play it. Well, I mean, overall, I love the game. What are some of the enhancements that it's going to be? Oh, okay, we can do ultra-wide monitors. Apparently, that's good for PC people, right? I don't know. This is maybe you should do this because I have no stake in this.
Pretty much what I think is cool is that this is actually a true port to PC, and it's like one of the things you give a shit about because like ultra wide is something like to most people it's like, oh, whatever, but there's a lot of like for me, for example, I just have two regular sized monitors or like 27 inches, but they're just normal monitors, whereas you have a sect of people who prefer ultra wide gaming, which is you have one monitor but the motherfucker's super long, like it's so it really helps for certain games like Forza or racing games in general because you get like an actual like driver's seat view in a lot of ways.
That's a good point.
This having ultra wide support is really cool because the game is beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Seeing it in like an ultra wide landscape instead of just the confines of just a normal like 8x10. I don't know ratios. I don't know stuff like that. Like a normal monitor like 1920 by 1080 is like it's kind of exciting and interesting thing. I mean, in general, you know, of course, because it's coming to PC, I think one of the biggest things is it's going to have an unlocked frame rate. I think on PS4...
For the layman, what is that? Why is unlocked frame rate important?
So instead of being capped at 30 or 60, which most console games are, if you have a beast of a computer that maybe has 2 or 3 graphics cards like some people have, and it's just an actual workhorse... If it's an unlocked frame rate, I mean, you could be looking at over 100, sometimes even over 200 frames per second. Mm-hmm. So it's basically like zero latency, like faster than you can even see, which is it necessary? No, not really. But that's the thing with PC is a lot of stuff is not necessary. Right. That works for most people. But,
this is the biggest change right here. Ready? Improved foliage physics. That's right. I want my foliage to foliarized around me.
Reflection details is a big one too. I prefer my foliage being a little bit more physical.
I want it to feel, if it's a bush, I want it to look like a bush. I want it to smell like a bush. It's going to be bushy bush.
That is kind of cool. An in-game benchmarking tool. So Horizon, even on my PlayStation 4 Pro, was doing the fan thing sometimes because I was getting into heavy combat situations. So the fact that you can do like a benchmarking to, hey, like what level does your computer need to play this at is something cool because typically just your card software will do that, and sometimes it's great, sometimes it's not. But I mean, it's not really anything in particular. Of course, you're going to have some additional stuff with the complete edition, which very similar to what you had from the PlayStation. We've got some outfits, some bows. kind of a lot of just DLC stuff you had originally. But I think just the fact that this beautiful game is coming to PC right before Horizon Forbidden West comes to PlayStation 5 is, I think, going to get people excited even more so for the new one, because Horizon, even in 2016, looked beautiful. I mean, even just on a base PlayStation, looked incredible. So to see it in a completely like untethered experience on a computer, if you have a good enough computer, is like, okay, now what's the next one gonna look like on PS5?
Oh, that's a good point. That's a good point.
And this is something cool, real quick. It's coming to both Steam and Epic Game Store.
Wow. Cool. All right. So all the PC nerds happy? Okay, good. Can we move on?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, no, we can't, because Hyperscape's only on PC right now. Damn it! So we're just going to have this play in the background, because Mr. Nate actually, like, he heard about this and he just did not care. He could have cared less about this game. And I'm like, now, hold on. Did you see the trailer? He's like, no. And I'm like, you got to watch the trailer first before you start passing judgment. Because essentially you were just like, Battle Royale. So, what was your first impression once you did actually watch the trailer?
Well, so I feel like I should explain myself a little bit.
Other than Battle Royales, man! I feel like that's a perfect explanation as to what happened, though.
So I recognize that I am in the minority of most multiplayer gamers. I don't give a fuck about Battle Royale games. I really don't. I think Warzone's cool. Fortnite's Fortnite. Fortnite, I recognize that, and PUBG are important to the genre. Mm-hmm. But I'm just a standard multiplayer guy. I like regular, like, for example, Call of Duty is the best way. I prefer core multiplayer over Warzone any day of the fucking week. Absolutely any day. So when I saw this was coming out and was a thing, I was like, I shared the same thing. I told Nick, I was like, oh God, another Battle Royale, man. Come on. Like, I don't fucking care. So Nick told me to watch the trailer, and I did. And I think it's definitely something I'm going to try.
Yeah. So it went from another one to okay. Yeah. Not only that, but I do think I sold you a little bit more, because there's some things that I don't think are in the original trailer. We're watching the gameplay overview right now, so I don't know if it's in that or not. But just as an example, I think on screen, is it showing? Yep. Okay, on screen it might be showing it. But either way, so there's a couple of things that are a little bit more nuanced. For one, the looting system is a little bit different. For one, you can have like a ton of different abilities. But then the looting system itself with guns in particular, obviously you have your like white, your green, blue, purple, orange. But in this one, instead of you having to basically get lucky to find a orange gun, instead, let's say you first pick up or let's say you first pick up a shotgun. Okay, that shotgun starts off as a white shotgun. Then you find another shotgun. Instead of, cross your fingers that that's a purple one. Instead, what you do is you fuse the shotguns together, and that levels it up. And so then you have to find another one and another one to make it a max level shotgun. I really like that, because then, instead of somebody dropping down to the ground, getting super lucky within the first 30 seconds, and they find an orange shield, they find an orange gun, and now they're set for the entire match. And now if you want an epic weapon, you have to work for that epic weapon. And so now I feel like, as long as I'm doing my part as far as like looking for stuff, and I feel like I have a better shot, because it's like, if there's one thing I'm good at during a battle royale, it's scavenging. Sometimes I feel like half the time that's all you're doing is scavenging, right? So now you scavenge, and it actually helps out, rather than just being like, nope, that one's not better, that one's not better. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So for me, like, that really intrigued me. And then you have the respawn system. The respawn system is actually, I think, another part of it that it's taking things from Apex Legends Warzone when the respawn really first became popular. It's taking those things and adding to it, which is another reason why I think that in general this is at least trying to make steps in the right direction rather than just, hey, let's make another battle royale. So to respawn, you basically, you die and then you become an invisible ghost. So if you're on a squad, I can still be like, hey, Nate, he's over here. It looks like he has a shotgun. I could be standing right next to the guy and, you know, he doesn't know it. So then how to come back basically is you have to find a corpse. So basically, Nate could avenge me and go to that person's corpse, and that's how I get revived. So it's no longer grab my banner, go find some, you know, stationary object. It's I can get revived wherever. It's just that you have to take over somebody's body, essentially. I kind of like that. It's an interesting twist, and yeah.
I think that what honestly is selling me about this game is what you mentioned to me before, as well as what you're just mentioning now. But the biggest thing for me is the map itself, for two reasons. One, this is really the first one I think that we've seen that's definitely cityscape, that's urban environment, and that's one of my biggest complaints about battle royales is the moment to moment gameplay. I think is the thing for me, because with any of them, Apex, I think to the lesser extent, because in general the map is smaller than something like PUBG or Fortnite or Warzone. But like the moment to moment gameplay, still like, hey, I'm with my squad. Okay, we got a little bit of peace. We're scavenging. All right, now we're getting into a firefight. All right, now we're gonna peace. Like, I don't think I care for that. But this, because it looks so urban, and you're building to building, jumping up, and because it's all virtual in a sense, because it's the world, it definitely gives you a lot of freedom to do crazier things. This is honestly, I think in general, looks like the first evolution or first real new take on the genre, and it's exciting for sure.
Yeah, not only that, but like if you guys follow us on Twitter at TX3 Productions, it's down at the bottom. If you follow us on Twitter, I basically made a comment how Respawn made Apex Legends. They didn't put double jump in because they're like, oh, it would mess up the balancing or whatever. Meanwhile, Ubisoft's like, nah, man, we got this. We'll do it ourselves, or like, fuck it, we'll do it, or something like that. I don't know. Read my Twitter. I don't know. But it was basically, I was making the observation that this has double jump. This has a really crazy amount of, like, there's one where you're like right now on screen, you turn into a ball and you basically bounce around. So while you're in the ball, you're immune to damage. There's one where it's like you're obviously putting up a May wall. You pull up a big virtual wall. And then there's one where you just get launched really, really high in the air, and then you can smash down. And so it's just like, to me, it's like this almost seems more like Titanfall than Apex Legends because of the double jumping, because of the, like, in an alternate universe, I would have loved to have seen what would Apex have looked with double jumping. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just in general, that's what was the comment I was going to make, is this game looks actually a lot more like Titanfall than Apex Legends even does. And, which is funny, but a joke I made to Nick when I first saw the trailer and, the teleport, like not the teleport, but the bounce pads, basically jump pads that lets you jump up into buildings. I'm like, you can tell this is a Ubisoft game because somehow, way, shape, or form, they're still having you fucking climb towers.
Come on, shut up. Oh, and the last thing, just because it's on screen right now, last thing is, it is Twitch integrated, where people can basically be watching your Twitch, and then they can vote on certain buffs. So maybe but the buffs are for everyone, so it's not like, like one is low gravity, I think it just showed. So it's like a Darwin Project, how, there was a director who could mess with the match essentially, but now it's voted on. So it's an entire, Twitch stream that is voting on how do we want to fuck with the people next, So I think that adds a interesting factor to it, and I did contact him. I am on the beta, so it's just a matter of now I'm going to download it. Hopefully it runs somewhat smooth on my PC. I don't have the best PC. I have a pretty good PC, but yeah. So I'm going to try that out, and that might be one of the next things we talk about because, I'll be checking that out. So overall, looks really cool. You went from a no to a yes just by kind of looking into it.
Actually paying attention to it, yeah.
Yeah, right. You're just like, yeah, and then, oh. So, all right, next thing we have to talk about might be uncomfortable for people who are assholes. This one's upsetting. One thing, if you have not played The Last of Us, it's okay. Neither has Nate. So don't worry, we're not going to be getting into any spoilers. But unfortunately, there is just so much shit going on with... I better stop this video playing. Okay. Anyways, I'm gonna let you take point on this, just so that I'm not tempted to talk about anything I don't need to talk about.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. So, real quick, as far as because I know it's going, you haven't played The Last of Us, because that's what the internet likes to do. Guys, I just moved into a new place. I'm actually legitimately broke right now. I can't scrounge the money to buy it. So when I have the money, it's something I'm definitely going to pick up. Mm-hmm. If for some reason you've been living under a rock, whether you have played it or have not, and don't know what's going on, the gist of it is Laura Bailey, who plays Abby from The Last of Us Part 2, and then just people from Naughty Dog in general, cast or crew or people who worked on the game, have been getting death threats, which I'm going to make the blanket statement. You can have an opinion and you can be as critical as you need to, but the moment you trudge into the territory of death threats, your opinion is null and void, and it doesn't fucking matter. When you stoop to the level of you're threatening someone's life, fuck you and your opinion, because your opinion can go fucking sit in the trash where you belong. Just in general. I mean, that's never, ever, ever okay. But, I'm sorry. No, there's no but to it. I was leading into the next thing. There's no but to it. But, okay, anyway. So, Laura Bailey, in particular, has been getting the brunt of a lot of this because, having not... I'm aware of Abby and, some of the stuff that she kind of does. Not what actually happens, but how she's definitely an aggressive, holy fuck kind of character. Right. And Laura Bailey, obviously, if you don't know who that is, voices Abby. So she's been getting a lot of death threats and been getting a lot of harassment because of her portrayal as that character. Right. And it's caused the studio itself, a lot of people from the studio, and Neil Druckman to come out and make statements about it. What we're talking about today in particular, as far as the news item, is Druckman actually went on Reggie Fils-Aimé's podcast, which, fun fact, didn't know that was a thing. Been wondering what he's been doing since he left Nintendo, and that's one of the things he does. But the quotes and everything, this actually comes from a GameSpot article. And they're kind of, which this is why I pulled from it, is because it gives a kind of a blanket update. This was actually updated today as we're recording July 5th. Naughty Dog's statement they made, they took to Twitter and said, although we welcome critical discussion, we condemn any form of harassment or threats directed towards our team and cast. Their safety is our top priority, but we must all work together to root out this type of behavior and maintain a constructive and compassionate discourse. Which it's one of those that, perfect statement to make from the company. It's not overly emotional, not overly aggressive, because they have lawyers. They're a company, they have to, of course, yeah. And it's totally valid and so on. And Druckman himself has took to Twitter and just completely been telling everyone, hey, this isn't okay. He himself has been vocal about stop, this is not okay. You can have your opinion as much as you want, it can be critical, it can be bad, it can be good, but don't do this. But he said some really good statements on the podcast, which I'll read here. This is from Druckman. Quote, I think that we have to create some separation to say we made this game. We believe in this game. We're proud of this game. Now it's out there, and it's whatever reaction people have, whether they like it or not, that's fair. That's their reaction, and you don't fight that. At The other thing with the more hateful stuff, the more vile stuff, that's a little harder. It's especially harder when I see it happening to team members or cast members who play a particular character in the game. He then continues, we have an actor. She's been getting really awful, vile stuff because of a fictional character she's playing in the game, referencing Laura Bailey. Going back to it, I just have a hard time wrapping my mind around that. The thing I try to do is just ignore it as much as I can when things escalate to being serious. There are certain security protocols that we take, and I report it to the proper authorities. Then we just have to try and focus on the positives and focus on distracting yourself with other stuff. But that's just kind of the reality. He did also give an update about, him talking with Craig Mazin, who is, the Chernobyl writer for the HBO series for The Last of Us, which I think is interesting that that's a part of it, because he adds from there. I've had a lot of conversations with him about this stuff. He articulated it pretty well, and it's like people have to get educated. This is kind of the cost. When they're doing something big, you might disappoint fans. There is a cost to it now, which is you're going to get a certain level of hate, a certain level of vitriol that you just have to deal with. There's not really a way to get around it, which, is an interesting conversation to have. And I think it's because the medium of gaming and being critical in the public eye is still fairly new. Movies and music have had this for years. I mean, look to The Last Jedi as the best example, or not the best, but the most recent example.
Right.
Kelly Marie Tran, who played Rose Tico, people wanted her dead because of a fictional character she played in the movie.
Oh, man, yeah.
And so, him saying, hey, man, that's the cost. It's an unfortunate reality we live in, but it's still a reality. So,
and the fact that it is a reality just really is, I don't know, it's just such a vile thing, because it's like, I've seen a lot of people lately, basically saying, oh, the internet was a mistake, social media was a mistake. And, it's true, because to a certain extent, there's always been pieces of shit in the world. Yeah. But unfortunately now these pieces of shit have this veil over them where people can't really see who they are, what they do. They don't know who they are. And so they have this anonymity that makes them feel like they can say whatever they want to say. And in particular, the death threats and just getting mad at somebody over a fictional character, it just makes no goddamn sense. People getting mad at Mark Hamill because he portrayed Luke a certain way. And it's like, what? Or getting mad at what do you say, Marie Tran was her
Kelly
name?
Marie Tran.
Kelly Marie Tran. Getting mad at her because she kissed Finn at the end or something. It's like, okay, you might not like that, but it's like, there are writers, there are directors, there are other people. It's like, she has a job. Mm-hmm. She fulfilled her part of the job, and now it's up to other people to make it final. So if you're going to get mad at anybody, get mad at, whatever. But even then, it still doesn't make sense, because it's like, once again, I think I 100% second your sentiment that as soon as you cross that line, as soon as that line that's drawn in the sand where you go into the death threats and you go into just being mean to a specific person, that's when you cross the line. And I would even say that about even if you generalize, let's say instead of going out of Laura Bailey herself, they just said, anybody who works for Naughty Dog, you're a piece of shit. When you generalize and you cross that line of just fuck you, I hate everyone, it's like, no. Yeah. Have your opinion. 100% have your opinion. But when you're going to start going to that, why should I listen to your opinion? Why is your opinion important?
Yeah, it's one of those that the actual textbook proper way that a message like that could be construed is if I took to Twitter and said, hey, or at Laura Bailey, I didn't like this character one bit. I hated it, but I understood and I appreciate and respect the what you did to become that character.
Right.
That's a valid opinion. That is a valid opinion. You don't like the character she played, but you can respect the actress who played her because she put in the work and created, well, not created, because writers and stuff, but she brought that character to life. And, it's funny going back to what you're saying. I agree. I've seen that a lot recently as the internet's been a mistake. In a lot of ways, I can agree. If we're, and I'm not going to speak to the broad terms, I'm going to focus on gaming. There's a sentiment and a thought that I've had for a long time. Kind of goes what we were talking about last week when I talked about me not knowing that's a few weeks ago when we were talking about The Last of Us 1.
Right.
And I was like, I didn't have any hype for it because I didn't, and I think back to like Skyrim's a good example. If we were where we are now, being aware of games journalism and aware of game reviews and stuff like that as we were back then, I might look at that game differently. Skyrim to me is one of my all-time favorite games because I can still recall, like, as a, being younger, sitting down playing that game for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and just enjoying it because I enjoyed that experience myself. I didn't know anyone else's. I didn't see anyone else's opinion. Whereas if that game came out today, they'd be like, "Oh, another fucking shitty Bethesda game. Look at the graphics; they're so shitty." Boy, I didn't have that opinion poisoning my mind. So,
and I mean, there's plenty of people, and I'm not saying this as a negative thing, but there's plenty of people out there that maybe their opinion is more in the middle, but then they talk to somebody else who is way more passionate about it, and all of a sudden they're like, "You know what? You're right. I do fucking hate that."
Yeah. And I've done that myself too, not to that aggressive extent, but I'm like, you know what? I agree with that opinion.
I mean, today's a good example. I got you on the Scape hype train.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, I think Far Cry is a good one too.
Yeah,
when we play Far Cry 5, we were like, oh yeah, I didn't realize that. Fuck that. I hate that.
Right? I don't know. There's not too much else to say.
Just be better to each other. I mean, it's something as simple as that. And also, if you are offended by us talking about this or offended by everything that's going on, fuck you. Yeah. You are part of the problem. Mm-hmm. Simple as that.
Yeah. I mean, all we're saying is be nice. That's really it. And moving on. All right. So the last one of the day is very speculative, but also kind of just interesting, something weird that just happened, I guess. So Dr. Disrespect gets banned. I am going to let you take a point on this again, just because I don't give a rat's ass, but I do find it interesting enough to, talk about. So
this is another thing I had to get Nick on the wheelhouse for because I brought it up to him and he was like, see, that's interesting. I just don't give a shit about Dr. Disrespect. And I said, I can understand that. And so, I mean, this isn't new. This happened, I think about a week ago as of now. Dr. Disrespect anyway, Dr. Disrespect just got banned from Twitch. Permabanned. And what was interesting from the get-go about this is certain details, which I don't know if you paid attention to this. Not only did he get permabanned, but also all of his subs were refunded by Twitch.
Yeah, I saw. That's the weirdest thing because it's like what could have been bad enough
refund
people's
money. Yeah, and so like that was the big red flag for me when I heard that. I was like, what the fuck happened? And we still don't know. Like, I mean, Guy Beam, who plays Dr. Disrespect as of the 27th, took to Twitter and said, Champions Club, Twitch has not notified me on the specific reason behind their decision. Firm handshakes to all for support during this difficult time. And so it's one of those that came out, I was like, Guy, you know what happened. Or he might not know. That's the thing. But it's like, they didn't give him the specifics. So
when they could have told him sexual content. And then he's like, well, I'm not a sexual person. Was it literally something? So maybe that's what he means, is that, like, he might know the reason
but he doesn't know
they're giving him, but they don't know well, what day was it? What minute was it? Like, let me, go on. Sorry.
So there were some things that had come out, when this first happened, people speculating about maybe this relating to the situation that happened a few years ago when he cheated on his wife and came out publicly and vocally about that. And they were like, well, maybe it's something that happened with the other party that was involved. She's wanting a new deal, and that's why. And everyone was like, well, I doubt that's the case because that's very shaky. It's very shaky ground to be on. And then the other side was something probably serious happened. That's a legal matter that we probably won't know until something's done or drawn up in court. And that was my reaction with the severity and the complete silence. It's like, okay, I think something serious happened, whether it be an accusation or something that he did that caused them to do that. That was my belief. Now, there is a newly kind of circulated, I'm going to call it a theory because it hasn't been confirmed.
Yeah.
This was actually brought to my attention from Review Tech USA. He posted a video about this, and I've been watching some of his stuff recently. He's been in the same camp because he was like, I said I wasn't going to talk about any theories, but man, this one is interesting. The other one that a lot of people thought about was that he was in talks with Ninja Shroud to join their thing that it's theorized that they're working on, their streaming site, and Twitch found out about it. So we'll link to the video below. He shows a clip from, I don't remember the other party. I think it's Stream Something is the guy's name, but he had Keemstar on, which Keemstar's Keemstar. Love him or hate him, he's a fucking whatever. But anyway, he shares a clip, and he had Keemstar on there, and Keemstar basically said that when Mixer was going on and they got Shroud and Ninja, Twitch then had to start paying their people millions of dollars to get them from switching over to Mixer.
Right.
And so the new theory that he said he's got from some sources, who knows, but it's fucking interesting either way, is that Twitch, whether publicly or secretly, I really don't know the specifics on that, made a $20 million deal with Dr. Disrespect. And then Mixer just goes under. And Twitch, the theory goes, was like, well, we could just ban him, and that way we don't have to pay him that money because we just spent $20 million for no reason at all because he's got nowhere else to go.
Yeah, we paid him $20 million to stay here when now it's really his only choice.
And Twitch does have the resources. Twitch and Amazon does have the resources to have people go and scrub through his live streams and all his footage to find one thing that he did that was a bannable offense. And
very true.
They can easily go. Okay, so let's say they found something, they banned him for it. Or they're like, well, he'll just sue him. Well, they can easily say, no, you violate our terms of service, and that's why the ban.
Right. I mean, and Dr. Disrespect, I mean, I never really watched him, but Dr. Disrespect in general, just like Ninja, just like PewDiePie, Dr. Disrespect has always been like
he's polarizing to some people.
Well, he's been very controversial. So whether that be because you like him or you hate him, he's been very controversial. He's done really weird stuff, you know. And so it's an interesting theory just because it's like if they were going to cover their ass, there's probably several things. It's probably not a single thing, you know. They could have made a list of things. And so like you said, they basically said, oh, crap, we're out $20 million. Well, let's do this instead. It cost them probably way less money to refund all the subs than it would have been to pay Dr. Disrespect.
There's no way the amount. I mean, he's got, like, Champions Club is full of a lot of people, and he's got a lot of subscribers. No way does that money value add up to $20 million. Right. So you're absolutely right. They probably did a cost analysis and was like, hey, we could do this instead, which is also interesting to think about, too, because Twitch has the backing of Amazon. Amazon has a lot of fucking money.
It's always about that bottom line, though. You know what I mean? Now, once again, this is speculation. This is not confirmed or whatever. But still, it just like I think right now the reason this makes a lot of sense is because people are grasping at straws, and this just happens to be a straw that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Because of everything that happened around it, you know? So maybe not Dr. Disrespect himself, but everything that was happening in the industry at the time. This is the one that goes, oh, huh, interesting, you know? So
yeah, so it's at this point either that, because that makes the most sense, or it is still something nefarious. There's a serious legal accusation that came up or something legally that caused them to do that. Because, like, at the root of it, the permaban and everything they did has a severity to it that we haven't seen in a while. So it's, you know, yeah, you're right. Everyone is grasping at straws because we want an answer in a lot of ways. And because it's the weirdest gaming situation involving a content creator that I think we've had in a long time, that it's not clear cut and dry because we don't fucking know anything. But I'm fascinated to see where this goes.
People who've been banned in the past, Twitch at least usually makes some kind of a comment, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that, and also they don't ever. I can't speak to because I don't religiously watch Twitch, but I don't think they have refunded everyone's subs before. I mean, I'll fact check myself on that if they have, or maybe that's policy once they're banned that they do refund. But with a creator like Dr. Disrespect, who's one of the now that Ninja's gone, the biggest creator on Twitch, or the biggest creator on Twitch.
Yeah,
like it's
Yeah.
I don't know.
Interesting. We want to hear your guys' theory. Was it FBI? Did you hear them busting through the door? No, you didn't. But let us know down in the comments down below. Once again, make sure to keep an eye out for tomorrow. We'll be having a bonus weekly grind where we react to some trailers. But that was today's show. Thank you guys so much for joining us. I was Nick.
And I was Nate.
And keep that grind going weekly. You don't know what we're talking. God dang it, babe! What? What? Okay. Here you go.
The baby's sleeping, and you're smiling.
Oh, that's super cool, but I'm recording. I love you. Enjoy.
What's going on?
And I said, hi, yeah, yeah, hi, yeah.
I say, hey,
what's going on? Jesus, what? Can I be left alone? I don't care. Wake her the fuck up. The last one is a superior.
It's Campbell's, sponsored by Campbell's. Working 9 to 5, yeah.
Dun, 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 dun.